Okay, so it is 6:30 and good evening. Welcome to the March 27th, 2025 meeting of the MSAD 75 Board of Directors. Before we begin roll call, anyone wishing to speak in public for public comment should sign their name at the podium. And with that, we will have roll call.
Present.
Present.
Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Present.
Here.
Present. Present.
Thank you, Becky. If you will join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oops. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. So we have a couple of agenda adjustments. The changes have been made and noted in onboard, but I will just go through them. We have added 5.1.5 and 5.2.4 to the consent agenda. We've also added 13.4 and 13.5, and we have tabled 13.1 and 15.2.
So moved.
All those in favor? It's unanimous.
I'm sorry, I missed who's seconded.
Usual suspects.
The efficiency brigade.
So it is public comment. And Andy, is there anybody on the list? Okay. So now we will move on to the consent agenda. And as this is new, I'll remind you if there's anything you want to discuss, you will have to ask to call it out of the consent agenda now. Otherwise, I will look for a motion to approve the slate. Okay.
So moved.
So the consent agenda has been moved and seconded. All in favor? That's everybody. Thank you. And now we get to move on to item number 6, recognition and acknowledgement. And this is the most exciting thing we've done in a while here at this meeting. We would like to, the world's kind of crazy right now, and there's a lot of division, and it's great when we have something that everybody can universally cheer for in our town. And my kids are Mount Ararat grads and not living here anymore, but they were following the team. They were very excited. So we would love to congratulate the Mount Ararat girls varsity basketball team on bringing home the gold ball, and anyone else is free to comment. Yeah, sure.
I think that by now, I hope they know how proud we are of them. And they may be trying to forget a month later, but we don't want them to ever forget their accomplishment. So I think you guys should find a place to stand, like maybe so the board can see. Maybe you should just like fill in behind me right here. How about that?
See what
Indeed. Yeah, that's not a good idea. Oh, wow. Right. That's fine too.
No, somebody should take a picture.
Okay, so let me make sure we get this right. We are missing a few people. The whole team is not able to be here due to illness and other commitments and things, but we have Taylor Wag, a junior from Bowdoin, right? We have Calvin Blair, a freshman from Harpswell. We have Nate Acker, a sophomore from Bowdoin. We have Emma Berry, a junior from Bowdoin. We have Jenna Jensen, a junior from Towson. Jalen Jensen, also a junior from Towson. Elena Willis, a senior from Bowdoin. Juliana Allen, a junior from Harpswell. And our coaches, Julie Petrie. So if you didn't notice, well, I'll say it what I was going to say, but yeah, we want to congratulate them. This is 51 years in the making for our school, but they are our very first state championship team in basketball. And we congratulate them for their incredible success this year. As a fan in the stands, that state championship game felt a little bit closer than I think it probably should have been. We pulled away in the end, of course. What was clear, even from someone like me who is not a basketball coach or a basketball expert, is that we won the effort battle. That Hamden team had to fight and scrap for every single point that they scored. We scored with relative ease by comparison. And from my perspective, it was that effort, that tenacious defense that won that exciting game. Most of all, I want to congratulate and thank them for the immense joy that they have brought to our communities. Their incredible work ethic, their team chemistry and the bonds that they share, their coaches, thank you for the hours that you gave. To their parents, thank their parents, many of whom were your very first coaches probably. They all played a role in bringing this team together, years in the making. There were hundreds, maybe thousands of people in the stands cheering you on that night in Augusta. People young and old. They represented Bowdoin, Bowdenham, Harpswell, and Topsom. This team is pretty much equally represented by our 4 towns. All 4 towns were with you there that night. Your families, your community, past Eagles, myself included, future Eagles, those little dribblers that you inspire on Saturday mornings, they were all there and you brought them all together. And we would like to thank you for a thrilling February vacation tournament run and a sweet, sweet state championship victory. Thank you and congratulations.
Coach, do you want to say anything? Okay.
I would like a chance.
Oh,
Yep.
don't you just yet.
Ladies, I just want to say that, so I was a state champion and in a different sport, but I was also all through college, I was on championship teams, but the sweetest and most wonderful experience I ever had was being a state champion with my team, and I will never forget that day. And I hope you never let this pass out of your sights because it was incredible. Thank you.
Right. Hard to move on from that, but we do also want to congratulate and recognize, and I wish they were here tonight, our unified basketball team. And I understand that they beat the teachers and the cops pretty badly. Pretty soundly.
So there is a little bit of crossover. Emma Berry plays on our unified team as well, and Terry Tumac with our coach. And we wish more of this team could also be here. But unified basketball is in its 3rd year at Mount Aaron High School. We have seen an increase in participation in the program each year. And we have seen, a growing competitive spirit and cooperative spirit on the floor each year that we have played. The team beat Brunswick, lost to Morse, and soundly defeated representation from the high school staff and the PD. The scoreboard read 102-100 at the end of that game, But that's only because Mr. Godo, who was scorekeeping, gave us 40 points for a layup at the end of the game. We were soundly defeated in that game. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there was some interesting scoring going on that night, but we're really proud to see the program continue to grow. And we're looking forward to additional unified athletic opportunities for our students moving forward. So we wish those players could be here with us tonight, but we're very proud of that team too. So thank you.
They're watching at home.
Thanks, everybody. We will move on to board announcements and correspondence. And while I don't have anything official to discuss, last time we did a pretty good job with informal announcements. If anyone has one they want to make. No? All right, just checking. Next, we will hear a report from the student representatives.
Not too much to update for class of 2025. Class officers are still currently working on prom, so catering and decorations, all that fun preparation. And the senior class as a whole is just preparing for the last few months and Eagle Legacy weeks and then graduation week. So very exciting.
It's true. Oh, okay, we're on. Yeah, I have a lot because I wasn't here last week. So the musical wrapped up and it went really well. And I wanted to draw some attention to the grant system that compensates for lost tickets. Because as far as I know, it works really, really well and benefited us greatly. I think a lot more people want to just slip in a 20 than pull out a 10 and a 5. And so as far as I know, we made more money than we were expected to, which is always great. Spring sports start on Monday. So again, as far as I know, and this may be inaccurate, but I've been told by a few coaches that there's huge turnouts in all events. And then I also know that there's a huge amount of students doing spring soccer clinics through, I think, like Seacoast, and there's a couple of other clubs. With course signups, which took place a few weeks ago, which was earlier than in the past, a lot of students were kind of thrown for a loop, and there were a lot of complaints about how the system was handled this year. But as far as I know, everything has been settled and students are signed up. And then finally, the Student Senate wanted me to call attention to the auction, which is this Saturday, which we've been putting in like so much work into. So if you can make it to the auction, please come. There will be a silent auction, a live auction. I will be presenting the live auction, not auctioning though, because I can't talk that fast. But yeah, so we're hoping that that will bring in a lot of money for our class, because if it doesn't, we're gonna have issues.
So when and where is the auction?
Yeah, so it'll be here this Saturday, and I have to be here at 12, and I think it starts at 4 or 5. We're getting bad weather though, so there's a good chance it's gonna be rescheduled to the following Saturday, and April 5th.
Am I correct in assuming that it will get posted on the website if it's postponed?
Yeah, we'll blast that one.
Perfect.
Cool.
Okay, thank you. Next, we will hear a progress report from Chief Mark Hagan and the LEADS program, on the LEADS program.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mark Hagan, Chief of Police and also a Topsom resident.
Lisa Ryu, one of the health teachers at Mount Ararat Middle School.
Bethany St. John, I'm the other health teacher at the middle school.
So you all may remember, or those of you that were here a year ago, it's been about a year when I came in front of the board hoping to establish what's known as the LEAD program, which is the Law Enforcement Against Drugs program in the middle school. And it was approved. We've now completed, we did one whole class this fall. We are at week 7 of the second group of 7th graders. But for those of you that weren't here, if you don't mind, I'd like to just take a couple minutes and talk about the basics of the program, just so you're aware of what we're doing here. So the LEAD program is 10 weeks of a 50-minute lesson plan, which actually works in perfect with the schedule here at the middle school. So every class is very interactive. Every class, we break the kids off either into teams or into pairs. And, we're playing board games. Today was more like a game show type of thing that we were doing with kids in different groups. But we use several different methods and means to try to teach the kids as we move through the program. And basically, the students are learning how to apply healthy strategies through real life scenarios. The program, just so you know, follows a very set script. It's almost painful that we have to follow a set script, but when we went through the instructor course, what they stressed very much was they want every student to hear the same exact message. So we follow it to a T as we're going through the program. The first five lessons of the program basically deal with life skills and character development. So week 1, we talk about defining and setting goals with the students. Week 2 is recognizing personal responsibility in the decision-making process. Week 3 is identifying and managing our emotions and identifying stressors in our lives and how to try to deal with that. Week 4 is effective communications, and we go over a lot with listening skills. And then week 5 is bonding and relationships. And we talk about peers, and we talk about the importance of picking positive influences in your life. The second half of the program is specifically about drugs. So week 6, we talk about addiction. Week 7, which is what we just finished today, tobacco. Next week, week 8, we'll be talking about alcohol and the effects on the body. Week 9 is marijuana. We talk all about marijuana. And then the 10th week is we talk about street drugs, prescription drugs, and over-the-counter drugs. So that's basically the 10 weeks in a nutshell. The costs, so far, we've been able to manage everything through our police department budget. And we were also fortunate enough that Midcoast Hospital, they have a grant program. And this program fits in with their youth health and wellness goals. So they have also given us some money that we've used towards the program. We have a plan for the future. Our plan is we're hoping eventually to add another grade to the program if it continues the way we think it's going to, which is being very popular right now. We'd like to add the 5th grade. Staffing would be a bit of an issue for us right now. There's only 3 of us from the police department that went through the program. It was myself, SRO Matthew, and then one of the other officers, Officer Sampson. Officer Sampson's on midnights right now, so it's tough to have somebody work midnights and then stay up, and teach the program with us. So it's pretty much been myself and Officer Matthew. But we would like to expand the 5th grade. So one of our goals is to have more instructors. This is the type of program that, as a chief, I don't want to pick people to be an instructor. This is the kind of thing that you want volunteers for, So we're a few folks down. Our staffing's a little low, but I'm hoping when we fill those spots to see if there's more officers that want to be instructors for the program. Another goal that we have for the future is there is a 3rd piece to the program that we currently don't teach, and that is an anti-violence program. Initially, when we started talking about this, we thought that the anti-drug piece would be the best piece to go with at first. And, the teachers will come up here in a minute and talk to you a little bit about that. There's a 3rd piece of the program that is another 5 weeks, and that's an anti-violence. It's focused on anti-violence. And the 5 weeks that we would teach if we added that piece to the program, week 1 would be respect for yourself and others. Week 2 is conflict resolution. Week 3 is anger management. Week 4 is how to manage bullying situations. And then week 5 is peer violence. So we are open to teaching that if the school was interested, and I'll let you ask, some questions of either myself or, Mrs. Ryu or St. John about that if you're interested. But we are open to do it. It would be a little taxing for us right now, but I think it's important because I can tell you at the adult level, we're dealing with a lot of violence issues. We're dealing with a lot of people that, right, wrong, or indifferent, did not get much education in their lives on conflict resolution, anger management, everything that I was talking about, bullying, peer violence, and respect for self and others. So we do think it would be effective for the kids to teach them that part. I'm also trying to be realistic. When I'm standing up here talking to you about this, we see the kids for 10 weeks and we're seeing them for 50 minutes a week. Right now, we're teaching 4 classes. We have 2 first thing Tuesday morning and 2 Thursday morning. So, I'm not saying it is necessarily going to change everybody's lives, but there are a lot of kids that don't get this at home, and it's unfortunate. So if we can teach some of these skills, even in a brief amount of time, I do think it's worth it. One of the questions that initially came up was how would we judge our results or the effectiveness of the program? We do a student knowledge pre-test, which we then follow up with a post-test. So I can tell you in the fall, the kids on their pre-test averaged a 73 score, and that was 59 students. And on the post-test, they averaged an 84. So I don't know how the school would judge that, but it was an 11-point increase. This group of kids right now that we're working with, there's 60 students in this second half of the 7th grade that we're dealing with, and they had a 79 on their pretest, and obviously we're only 7 weeks in, so I'm not sure what their post-test will be. But with that being said, we were fortunate enough that Mrs. Rio and Mrs. St. John were willing to come tonight, so I wouldn't mind stepping aside. I can answer questions later if you have them, but I'd like you to hear from them as well, please.
So I'm of the age where I had the DARE program. I'm not sure if Miss St. John did. She's a little younger than I am, but this program is entirely different than that, which is what I love about it. It's not just a don't do drugs, sign a contract, say you're never going to do it. Let's have an award ceremony. It teaches all of those other skills that the kids need in order to be able to say no. So the communication, the decision making, the goal setting, and all that stuff. So it has truly been a great program to add to our already curriculum that exists. The nice part is that we see kids 2 days a week. So if they're in on a Tuesday, then I have the kids in class on a Friday, and we're able to piggyback off of things that they've already been learning about with them and then continue that conversation with them when we have them the next class. All of this stuff fits perfectly within the curriculum we already have. So it's not like we're losing things. We haven't lost anything. And adding the additional 5 classes wouldn't be a burden for us in our curriculum either. I also will say that Chief Hagan and Officer Matthew, I haven't had Officer Sampson too much because of her midnights, but have come in and have become teachers because they are doing a fantastic job. Both Bethany and I, we kind of sit in the back and we're ready, we're prepared to help, and we haven't really had to. We walk around, we monitor, we help when we need to, but they have done an amazing job, and the kids are focused and they are paying attention and they are engaged. And then at times I'm shocked because it's the chattiest group of kids that I have, and they're just like quiet. And also genius move by bringing in candy. There is full participation, which has been great. I also will say it can be hard to come into a classroom. There are lots of different needs. There are challenges with kids. There are things about kids that teachers just inherently learn by having them. I've been able to work with both of them. I'm sure Miss St. John did as well, not teach them, but to tell them, some of those challenges, and they have been amazing at supporting those kids in the ways that they need to. If there are some kids that you can't point at them and expect them to answer, they're just going to shut down, and they respect that. And they have really done an amazing job at getting the kids to engage in the way that they can, and not making them or forcing them to do it in a way that, as adults, we would like them to. So we have loved this program. We asked our students to respond to a couple questions about how they think the program is going, what they think the focus of the program is, and what they've learned about the program. And these are some of the comments straight from the kids. If you guys have any questions, then.
Anyone? Frank?
Thank you for doing this. This is a really good program, and I would encourage you to try to get us to vote on the last 5 weeks. But that's, I just think that it's wonderful that you're here, and I'm really happy that this has been instituted, and this will be cool. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Hudson?
I'll second Frank. I think this is really good. And I also remember DARE and being not maybe the most effective way to approach this stuff. And it sounds like this is much more effective and much more integrated with the programs you guys are doing, which is fantastic. And I would also encourage you guys to try to look at the 5-week violence things. I think, that dovetails a lot of the stuff we've been hearing about behavior broadly in schools and what a lot of the budget hiring is sort of about. So I think that's an effort that has good synergy with other things that are going on. So.
Question mark, that when we talked about it, would it be this year that you'd want to add the 5 weeks on? Or in the
No,
next session?
It would be next year. To be honest, we'd have to order the curriculum. I'm sure the curriculum committee would like to see it. If we were going to add it, I would prefer to add it in the fall. But we're already 7 weeks in. I'm sure everybody's already got their schedules set. So we'd be looking at the fall if the school was willing to do it.
I was just curious about when you had talked about the cost, what are some of the things that are covered under those costs? I'm assuming, obviously, the time for you folks to be there, but are there other materials and things in the trainings that's covered under those costs that the police department's taking?
Yeah, well, the candy that I keep buying,
Okay,
that's
candy.
starting to add up, So, yeah, just so everybody knows about the candy, kids, we're getting the kids in the first 2 courses, the first 2 classes of the day. So they're kind of coming in and we're trying to get them fired up, and then some people aren't morning people. I'm not a morning person either. So to get them interacting, we start asking questions, and if anybody gets it right, we throw them out candy. And some of the group challenges, we're like, well, it's worth winning this one, and we have some candy for them and so forth. But candy aside, no, sometimes we're paying overtime. When Officer Sampson was on the other night shift, when I say the other night shift, sometimes she was working 5 at night till 3 in the morning, and we were having her come back in. So there was that. The booklets that we ordered, the kids all have their own workbook, and so we have those. Those are a few $100s to order. There's the instructor books that we use. I apologize for not bringing it, but we're literally reading out of the instructor books. But LEAD took care of us because we actually hosted the training last year. So they gave us the instructor books right up front. So we're good with that. We would have to order a couple books for the additional anti-violence piece, but there aren't any huge costs. I ordered a banner, so every time that we have a graduation class, we take a photo in front of the banner and we put it on our Facebook and so forth. It's just been a lot of little costs, nothing huge. Yep.
Thank you.
Hudson?
Amanda, sorry, Amanda.
No,
Do you think that if we had to absorb some of that cost for the 5-week program, would that fit into our existing health budget pretty easily? It doesn't sound like it's anything significant. Cool.
So I'm a social worker by trade, so I'm going to be asking a lot of probably more complex questions about the curriculum. But does the curriculum kind of go into how the brain is impacted by drugs under the age of 25, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, so today was I'll use today as an example, and next week with alcohol, I can give you a quick example on it. So today we were talking about tobacco products. So we talked about smoked tobacco. We talked about, vapes. And then we also talked about chewing tobacco. And like part of the game we were talking about, we were explaining cadmium is in tobacco products. So we're explaining that cadmium is also in batteries and it's in nuclear reactors. And we're trying to explain to them that that is also in cigarette, any type of tobacco, basically. And we went into nicotine and the harmful effects and what it does. Next week is alcohol. And we have pictures that we'll be holding up because I was going through the information today that just show what a normal human brain looks like. And then it shows what they've added color to the pictures, so it looks more like a drawing. But again, it shows what a normal brain looks like. It shows what a brain looks like when somebody starts consuming alcohol to a certain point, and then it shows what people are like and liver disease and what it does to their brain. So it's we're not trying to gross everybody out, but we're showing them the reality of what it is. Today, part of the game that we were playing, it was a matching game. And they would get information that would tell them, if you're smoking for years, you end up with emphysema and so forth, or yellow teeth or yellow fingers from all the smoking. And then the pictures that they were matching, if you were looking for, let's say, lung cancer, would show what a lung looks like after smoking and so forth. So they're seeing the long-term effects. I will tell you though, we're not beating them over the head. We're not sitting there going, don't do drugs, don't do drugs. We're giving them the information and we're putting it out there. The kids are really shocked at the stuff we're telling them, but we're providing them the information. Yes, are we suggesting it'd be a lot easier? Today we talked about it'd be a lot easier not to start than it would be to try to quit. But I'm sorry, am I answering your question?
Yeah.
What I'm
I
telling
think
you?
my question is more curriculum based and not necessarily, I just know like developing brains until you're 25,
I think I
right?
can
So-
give you an answer to
Yeah.
that. As part of the health curriculum, we talk about that a lot. We have a substance abuse program in the 7th grade, which is accompanied with this. And then we have a pretty extensive one in the 8th grade. And the 8th grade is all about that addiction piece. And in fact, I just got over like a week or 2 lesson with the brain specifically and how under 25 it's still developing. And so, yeah, we cover that extensively in health
Awesome.
class.
Just a follow-up, just in general to that though, but so really leaning into, I appreciate that they go into these foundations and life skills, but really how, the problem with adults and addiction right now, right, is that we're trying to mask things that we don't want to feel. And so really helping the kids identify those emotions, what they are, and then that they're okay. And it's okay to have the bad with the good.
Mhm.
And so I just hope that like incorporation of that and some other curriculum-based stuff that we're really leaning into those, like, this is not the solution to solve the
Yes.
problem.
Yeah, we also have a mental health unit in 7th grade where we talk about, identifying those stressors and those feelings and coping mechanisms. And then we also talk in the substance abuse unit about not using substances as a coping mechanism for stress or trauma or anything else that you have.
Thank
So
you
yeah,
so
all that
much.
stuff is covered.
That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, and just for anyone who might be listening, the curriculum committee last year did review the LEADS curriculum before we approved it. So in case anyone was wondering out there. Any other questions? Yeah, sure.
So in high school, you're required to take a health class where they go pretty in depth with substance abuse. But we didn't have this sort of thing when I took middle school. And I know that in the high school right now, an issue is with vaping and e-cigarettes because I think they're accessible. Is there an expectation that a program like this would lower the rates of high school students partaking in this recreation? I don't know.
I mean, I think that's the hope. I think we always hope that by giving the information and teaching kids how to cope and manage and deal with just life, that the hope is that it's going to trickle into, as you get older, to making those choices. We can't guarantee that, but that certainly is the hope. And we also talk a lot about vaping as well at the middle school level, because it's not just a problem here, it's definitely a problem at those younger ages as well, so.
Anyone else? Jim?
just being a strong believer, no matter what your politics are, that it does take a village to raise a child. And knowing in a family setting or a community setting, a non-parental adult who gives a damn about a child enough to talk about things that maybe we don't all want to talk about is so valuable. So having, with complete respect and having been a teacher myself, a non-teacher come in and come into school, which can seem like the place of the teachers, is a powerful thing. And to have those conversations, which you've described so clearly, line up with the curriculum that's already going on, but a wonderful contribution. And I know it's overtime for everyone, not just those who are pulling the hours, but deciding that perhaps more than what the community has already assigned to you. Thanks for taking this on.
If it's in the student comments, but I know that Bethany had a student say, having somebody else come in to teach this, not the same people that we're hearing from all the time. Yes, with complete respect. Yeah, is great. Exactly. We've worked with them long enough. We don't take offense to it. But I mean, we agree, having somebody else come in to do what we're trying to do and do it, along with us has been amazing. And I can put my parent hat on for a minute. My son is a 7th grader and in this program, and I'm thrilled to death. I mean, he's so lucky to have a health teacher as his mother. Yes, yeah. Who's talked about all this stuff his entire life, but now somebody else is doing it, and I'm thrilled that he gets to be part of it.
That's great.
Haley?
I wanted to say that I think this is amazing. I was on the committee when you came last year, and so I'm really excited to hear an update on it. And my question for you, Officer Hagan, Chief Hagan, sorry, is I know you said that the curriculum is pretty like strict on what you say. Do you at any point ever use experiences that you see in the curriculum with the kids?
Yes, well, to be honest, yeah, last week we were talking about addiction, and I actually was telling the kids about a friend of mine, because we were talking about, nobody ever starts something thinking that it'll happen to them when we talk about addiction. And so, I briefly told a story about a friend of mine who I never would have believed it would happen to, that is dealing with it now. So that is one of the pieces that, to be honest, I wish we had more time for. And I'm actually going to the Law Enforcement Against Drugs conference next week. And I'm going to talk to the people will be there that build the curriculum. And if they ask, I'm going to try to talk to them about, I wish there was at least 5 or 10 minutes built into the curriculum that they would have to ask us more questions. Because to be honest, when we get in there, it's a 50-minute curriculum. The classes are 50 minutes. So we're going the whole time, which is great. And, but it would be nice if we had a little more time for the kids to just interact with us. Sometimes we'll get a few minutes depending on how the class goes, and we'll have a few minutes at the end, and they ask questions about our gear or why I have so many stripes on my, arm, which is because I'm old, but that's fine. So, so we get a little chance to talk to them about it. I just wish we had even just a couple more minutes, just so they could see we're real people and just trying to help. So we do mix stories in. Sometimes I talk too much though, and we have to shut it down so we can get through all the curriculum.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think it's a really good suggestion for the future, because I am also a DARE kid graduate, and the program itself, I don't think was very helpful, but seeing the experiences that I saw when I was a kid, my dad's family has a history of drug problems, and that's what made me not want to touch them. And so I think it's really important to share the real stories, even if they're a little bit scary. I think that that's going to be the best thing for our kids. So I would encourage you to, obviously not share too much, but share enough that kids see how terrifying it can actually be. So thank you for what you're doing.
Even in our town, a lot of times people think, oh, those things happen in the cities, and
it's
everything
happening
happens in the same place.
everywhere.
It's just percentages, it might have less, but we still get the same things going on
Yeah,
here in
absolutely.
bigger cities.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I appreciate everything you all are doing. It's great.
Thank you. I think we are looking forward to hearing about additional units through the curriculum committee.
No, thank you. I gotta say again, I greatly appreciate the opportunity that you gave us last year. I think it's very important. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. You ready, Heidi? Superintendent's report.
Okay, so thank you, folks. Mark, thank you. Okay, we are well into the development of our strategic plan in the steering committee. We've started our focus groups, and in fact, right now at 7 o'clock, the final one for today has started virtually. So if folks are out there listening, you might have a few minutes to pop onto that. I sent the links out in Parent Square. We'll also have some in-person ones coming up, which on Monday, March 31st at 6 p.m. at Woodside, and then Tuesday, April 1st at 6 p.m. at Bowdoin Central. And then we will also hold one in the morning on April 2nd here at the high school, with more details to follow on where that will be and exactly which location in the high school. So I'm really excited about that. And we are, April 2nd, we will be meeting our final steering committee meeting and then bringing our plan to the board within the next few weeks after that. So we are almost there. That's all I have for tonight.
Great. Thank you. I don't have anything for the board chair's report. So we will move to committee reports. And the first one is the February 24th cooperative board meeting.
Minutes from that meeting are on board. If there are any questions about those. Just overview, registration continues to go well. The work is moving forward on the replacement of the assistant director. Active, things are going well. The document that I think I'd ask you to take a look at more closely is the second document, which is a listing of the National Technical Honor Society. So kids, total large number of kids from the school being recognized in that way. But MSAD 75 of the 3 sending districts to the Region 10, MSAD 75 took the lion's share of those recommendations. So something that I think we should all be pleased and proud of.
I think we should give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
I have one question on the minutes on the top of the last page of the minutes. The field trip budget, I think it's a typo. I think it's $6,100, not $61,000.
Okay, thank you.
Can you confirm it is the $6,000?
Yes, I can confirm it is. Your correction is accurate. I will get that fixed.
Just making sure.
So recognized. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we'll have the March 24th facilities meeting.
Yeah, so I've got to start it off. I will miss Sean. Sean did a great job for the district, and he did an excellent job with the committee. So I will miss that. There was no public comment. The on-site solar initiative was briefly discussed. The committee's still looking forward to something happening with that. It seems like we're going to be waiting for an April presentation to the board with revision to see how everybody else receives it, so you can see the same thing we saw. And then next meeting, we'll be talking about maybe an RFP process, so it's not just revision that's coming to the district. The update on the facilities master plan, as you know from last board meeting, we rejected CHA's offer. And tonight's under item 13.4, there is actually consideration for action to accept Harriman's proposal for the facilities master plan. The Price tag on that's 125,000, meets the needs of what was submitted in the RFP that went out last fall. So we're excited to maybe get some progress on that. And they have a time frame to actually get the conditions assessment done and a schedule of needs, long-term, short-term, intermediate-term items for consideration for our next budget cycle. So that's kind of an important timeline. The Woodside envelope assessment, we got the report back. There was no good news in that report. The doors, the windows, the siding, there was a little bit of water damage, to the sheathing, once they peeled back the siding. So there will be some needs there, and right now the initial assessment was phased over 3 years. We're looking at, $5.2 to $5.7 million in work to deal with things there. One of those is the roof. The roof has already been identified by facilities to needing replacement, and I think that was $900,000 alone. So we knew about that. The siding and everything else, the installation and the products were not as high a quality as they could have been. And we're paying the price on that. So the plan is to have Harriman in their facilities master plan evaluate, those needs and kind of weave them into, what how we should plan for that and how we should line it up on our schedule and needs and for future costs. So more to come on that. The middle school envelope project's coming along well. Seem like they're actually ahead of schedule. Heidi had a good meeting recently with the contractor to indicate that they're probably going to be done this year, long ahead of schedule. And if anybody's driven by the middle school lately, they're getting the siding wrapped around the Orion Center and, a lot of progress on the front of the school now. So it's exciting to see that transformation happen. Capital construction and planning, no updates there. And we did move the next meeting from April 17th to April 7th for those that are interested. So just letting everybody know that. And that's all I have.
Thanks. Did the committee have a recommendation on the master plan contract?
Yes, the committee recommended that it be accepted and brought to the board for consideration.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to the finance committee meeting.
Yeah, just one.
Just one this time.
Yeah. So we met on the 24th here in the forum. We had our presentation from Sean Shabbat on the Region 10 budget for the year. The big takeaway there is there was feeling a lot of the same pressures we are in the budgeting process, but did a lot of work to ensure that there wouldn't be a negative impact upon the students in the programming. And at the end of it all, the roll-up and impact to our district and all the other districts is about an increase of 6.21%. So that was what we received from them. Following that, we began our budget deliberations for the 2026 fiscal year budget process. Had a lot of discussions about the pieces that have come forward to this point. Heidi had edited and evolved kind of her budget proposal through this process. And so we had some discussions about some of the things that were coming out. I believe we approved all those, and then we ended up putting one more item back in that she had taken out, just feeling that it was important to have. So we'll be meeting as a group next week on Monday to finalize that and get it kind of ready to bring to the full board on the 10th of April for approval. And that was what I had.
Great, thank you. We will move on to old business and item 12.1 to consider a second reading and adoption of existing policy JEA compulsory attendance.
So moved.
Second.
So this one is coming for a second read. There was an adjustment added, and I noted in your cover sheet in the adjusted exhibit. But the administration came and suggested that under excusable absence, item A could be modified to reflect the exact language from statute. Heidi and I thought that was worth proposing to everybody. So that adjustment is included in the document as presented for second read tonight.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. 12.2, to consider a second reading and adoption of existing policy JEAA, student attendance and student attendant absences and tardiness.
So moved.
Second.
So no changes from first read here. Otherwise, it says that we saw it at first read.
Does anyone have questions or comments? Yes, Jessica.
So in line B, and I've talked about this with Hudson and Heidi just a few minutes ago. I should have brought this up the last meeting, so I apologize. Line B states, parents are expected to ensure that their children arrive at school each day on time, remain in school for the full day, and attend school consistently throughout the year. I'm struggling a little with the wording. The sentiment I fully agree with. We have a truancy problem, and we need to get kids at school consistently. So how we're doing that matters. The wording of this is a little tough for me because once a student arrives at school, the parent doesn't have any visibility on the child remaining at school. So I'm just wondering if anyone else has any thoughts on that. I will say that I tried to kind of reword that one line item by saying something like, parents are responsible for the school attendance of students who are under 17 years of age. That pulls from another policy about attendance, compulsory attendance. So I don't have any specific wording to suggest. I thought that I would bring that up.
Gregory?
I think it's taken that sometimes parents take their kids out of school for no good reason. And it's happened to me several times, and it's just like a senior skip day, and they excuse them. So they're participating and they're getting their kids coming out of school by making a phone call. It happened to me like last week. I had 14 kids out, and all of them had phone calls.
Gotcha. Yep.
Jim?
One of the things we heard, and I think Chris mentioned it in talking about the cell phone conversation, when we visited in Bath, one of the unexpected outcomes of the phone, the use of the Yonder pouches there, was that a sharp reduction in the number of kids leaving school, and those who had medical issues, visits to the school nurse, utilization of the nursing capability on site were way up. So I, not being on the committee or being involved in writing this, a role this could play could be a recognition in those calls, you know, mom, dad, I need to go home, and okay, I'll be over and pick you up. So the responsibility to not bend too easily.
Yeah, thanks for that, Gregory. That's, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good one. And Jim, that's good. I can get behind it. I don't want it to get lost that once a kid's in the building, it's the school's job. And I personally know of many examples at the high school where kids are getting out. And that's an issue that we need to take up as a board, I think, perhaps. And that should probably be reflected in policy somewhere at some point.
Could you repeat what you said, that you've heard multiple examples of kids what?
Kids are leaving the school from time to time.
Simply walking away.
Simply walking out. And the parents don't know about it. So that's something that, you know, I'll just throw that out there since we're talking about parents being responsible for that. So sometimes the parents can't be responsible for it. It's our job at the school to do it.
Okay. So both have responsibility, both the school and the parents have
Absolutely.
responsibility.
It's a shared job that we have, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And really, and I would just add that, yeah, when Jessica and I were talking about it, because she gave me a heads up that she had some concerns, and I was like, we should talk about it. Right? And so I want to, first of all, agree with what Amy just said. I think it's a shared responsibility, and I think there's a parental responsibility to make sure that kids are attending school regularly. And that's why I like the language as it stands. I think it makes that responsibility clear. But Jessica is exactly correct. When they're in the building, parents aren't the ones who stop them from walking out the door. Really, that's not it. There's an educational responsibility, there's a partnership responsibility, but there's a similar responsibility at the school. And I just always, appreciate thoughtful comments. So thank you, Jessica.
Jim?
I guess I'd also suggest that it's not only the ensuring once they get to school. I firmly believe as a third grade teacher, it was part of my responsibility and the school's entire responsibility to make sure the school was a place that kids wanted to come to. So it is a shared responsibility across all those components, not only once you get them here, it's our job to keep them. But everybody's in it together across all those components. And I think I'd suggest that not just policy, but the work we do in the curriculum committee to work to support curriculum and opportunities that will be engaging to all students and help drive that desire to make sure this is a place that folks want to be.
Yes.
Not just this physical place, but school.
Any other comments? Okay, so as we're ready to vote. All those in favor? Everyone, thank you. 12.3, to consider a second reading and adoption of existing policy JKAA, use of physical restraints and seclusion.
So moved.
Second.
There was only one minor change from first read. I can't remember which board member called out the accidental inclusion of some sample language. That has been removed.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Next, to consider a second reading and adoption of existing policy AC, non-discrimination, equal opportunity, and affirmative action.
So moved.
Second.
No changes from first read aside from the second instance of the word locks that we did not correct. So that has now been made consistent.
Clean that up. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you, that's unanimous. 12.5, to consider a second reading and adoption of existing policy ACAA, harassment and sexual harassment of students.
So moved.
Second.
No changes from first read. This is a cleanup of our Title IX policies.
Questions or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. That passes. 12.6, to consider a second reading and adoption of existing policy ACAB, harassment and sexual harassment of employees.
So moved.
Second.
Same comment. No changes from first read, just a cleanup of our policies.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. 13.1 is tabled. We will move to 13.2 to consider approval of proposed amendments to procedure JKAAR, procedures on physical restraint and seclusion.
So moved.
Second.
So this is in line with the JKAA changes that we just approved the second read of, aligning us with state statute and some updates to the sample policy on the request of Heidi and Amy on that.
Other Amy.
Other Amy, sorry. Yes.
That's okay. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Unanimous, thank
Actually, real
you.
quickly, Just a heads up, there's not going to be a bunch of policies next time because our committee meeting is till not after the next meeting. So you'll get a break from all this next time.
Wow. We'll think of something.
About
Yeah.
time.
Okay. Next, we'll go to consider amendment to the negotiated agreement between the Board of Directors and the Principals Association.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Do you want to take this one? You want me to? Yeah. So there was it was discovered that some of the agreements we made, that the TAs sections we had agreed to didn't get properly transcribed into the contract. So we did have to check with the lawyer, and to make the changes, we did have to re-sign and reapprove the contract. But it was no substantive changes, just some places where, and the principals agreed. We had agreed to language that didn't get brought in. So I didn't think we needed an executive session to go over the language. Does anyone have any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor? That's unanimous, thank you. And so we, 13.4.
That was weird. It's one of the lights going bad.
To approve the facilities master plan proposal from Harriman.
So moved.
Second?
So, you,
Andy. Andy gets that one.
so we heard the report from Andy, and you have the proposal in your packet. Does anyone have any additional questions? Yeah.
So when we approved this budgetarily in the last budget season, I believe we set aside $75,000. Is that right? Was it 100?
100.
It was 100. So I guess my question is to Heidi, do we think we'll be able to find the additional $25,000 without needing to go to the general fund at this point in time?
So, my understanding is that they have agreed to bill anything over 100 in next year's fiscal year.
Gotcha. But we're still committing to it. So I just want to make sure that we're
But the extra 25 and change will be
part of the budget for next year.
next
Great.
budget.
Unless
Okay.
we have some unspent lines this year, then we'll look to.
Great. That's sort of my question. It's already accounted for in the budget you presented, and we're no additional spending. Thank you.
Right. Anything else? Okay. All those in favor? It's unanimous.
The good one.
Look forward to, well, probably won't be a good report to read, but I look forward to having the work done. As you noted in the consent agenda, we had a resignation of our facilities director. So we need to appoint board members. What do you think? Two?
Yeah.
One or two board
We'll
members
take whoever we can get.
to participate on the hiring committee. We do have the timeline. Spreads out through most of April, listed in your packet item. So if you're considering whether you want to be on the committee, take a look at the dates and see if that works for you.
I can volunteer. I just have to put a caveat in there that the April 17th to the 21st is a tight time frame for me. I will be out of town from the 14th to the 22nd. So if I could have a couple more days there.
Yeah, Andy, you certainly can do that. It would be great to have you because interviews actually don't start until the 28th. So if you're back for that, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, you could review the applications anytime. Yeah, on your flights, I'll send them to you.
Appreciate that, Heidi.
I can work on with this too.
I would like to nominate Andy Began and Frank Wright to serve on this committee.
Oh, boy. I'm going to give that to Holly. Holly seconded. You're loudest though, I think maybe. All right. Hudson, yeah, right. All those in favor? Thank
Thank
you,
you, guys.
everybody. Okay, we have the calendar and announcements. And then we move on to the executive session. Oh. No, yeah, you did. There is an exhibit,
But it's just.
but is there is there?
Yeah.
No, this is just the.
doing that this year.
No. We already did it, right? We're good.
Good.
We're good.
I was like, another one?
Alternate reality.
Yeah. All good.
You've been busy? Yeah. Okay. So, yes, we are at 15.1. Pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056F to enter executive session to discuss a confidential student matter as permitted under applicable laws protecting student privacy.
So moved?
Moved and seconded?
Haley.
No, Haley was second. All those in favor? That's everyone.
And
Thank
we don't
you.
expect to take action after this, right?
I don't really know what the,
Okay.
no,
No. I'm just curious. We don't want to the live stream again, I guess I'm saying.
I don't think so.
Great.